Good afternoon, everyone. Today presentation by Orange Team present the movie named The Island. Let me tell the short story of this movie. The Island is a science fiction thriller film that has Lincoln Seco and Jordan Chudelta, the main character. Lincoln Seco, who was convinced that the world was contaminated, doubted that what he was told that wasn't true. One day, he found an insect outside the dystopia and decided to follow it. Astonishingly, he found out that this place was made for cloning in order to harvest the organs. This is where the story begins. Next, there are 4 acts in this movie. First, delving about life inside dystopia. Second, finding the truth. Third, trying to escape. And the last one, coming back to help his friend. In the first act, Lincoln Echo lives in a place which the movie tells us it is the last place for humans because outside has been contaminated by virus. And the goal of everyone who lives in this place is going to the island, which is the place for increased the population of the human. Lincoln Echo sees something doesn't make sense. For example, all food that he must eat have to calculate the calorie and the nutrition. The health lifestyle of it must be white and they is cleaned by someone who doesn't live in dystopia. He wonders why he had to fill the nutrition to an unknown destination. And reaching to the turning point, he found the insect which come from the outside. In the second act, he followed that the insect and he see the organ harvesting from people who is chosen to go to the island. So he tried to go the outside with Jordan to Delta and then they found the mechanic who was work in the dystopia and then he explained all the truth that he must know. And he know that Jordan Chudota and everyone who lives in the dystopia are clones of the rich. In the third act, they try to escape from dystopia and escape the hunt. Later, Lincoln Seco go to see the rich, who is the prototype of him. And then he fight with his prototype, and moreover, he can win. And in the last act, he impersonated to be the rich who is the prototype of him and go back to the dystopia and helping all friends that live in the dystopia.
Next, let me talk about the strength of the movie. You can't deny that one thing that you expect from this kind of movie is the action scene. Because the contract in the movie is ultra modern, there are many technologies used for produce the action scene. And all these things make the action scene more realistic and high up your emotion. Also, the CGI in the movie is pretty cool compared to other movies at that time and still great even nowadays. The last strength of the movie is the plot twist. In the beginning of the movie, they talk about the island which is claimed to be heaven on earth. And if you still continue watching it to the end, you will find that what is the real meaning of the island, and it is mind-blowing. On the other hand, there are some weaknesses of the movie. First of all, a lot of things in the movie don't make sense. For example, the microbot in this movie, you can see it with your naked eye, even though they claim to be the nanotechnology. This is impossible. Also, the decision of the lead character to find their own sponsors after they can escape. Why do they have to open a can of worms where they cannot live peacefully? All of these questions make you don't want to continue watching it. And if you continue watching it to the end, I confirm that you will have many more questions about the end because they didn't provide enough information and detail for us. And there is all of these things make you feel more frustrated.
There are many technologies in this movie that we can compare with the technologies that we learned in Unit 9 and technologies in today's world too. First, cloning, which is the technology that this movie is mainly about. In this movie, the company cloned a woman and made her give birth to the customer's child. In Unit 9, it also mentioned about cloning, but it talked more about designer baby, which is a genetic editing clone baby instead. I think the designer baby has more advantages than the baby from clone because you can choose desired characteristics of your baby. Those tiny silver balls that my friend mentioned before is microbots. They went into Lincoln's eye in order to observe his brain. But nowadays, we use nanotechnology to diagnose some diseases, and it is less scary than the microbots in this movie. Next, doctors do surgery by controlling robots through touchscreen device. This is similar to remote surgery that we learned in class. The last picture in this slide is a tracking band. It is used to track and identify clones. In real life, we have computer chip implants which can do better since they are under the skin. Next slide, please. You can see a train moves on strings, which made it look like it is flying through the sky. In Thailand, we have SkyTrain, which kind of look like this train. The CCTV and facial recognition technology that used for finding Lincoln and Jordan in this movie have already come true. They're used by Chinese government now. And the last one, voice control and video call. Of course, they can be used on smartphone in these days.
Now we are going to talk about movie effects. In this movie, you will see that technology, which seems impossible at that time, can become part of our daily life. Anyway, cloning should still be considered as an ethical action because it isn't entirely safe and accurate, so it might be used inappropriately, such as being used in organ harvesting process, like what we have seen in the movie. Moreover, new technology shouldn't be launched immediately. Before doing anything, organizations should consider about the consequences in every aspect to prevent severe damage that might happen to the society. Next slide, please. And the last part is for the recommendations. We rate this movie at 3 out of 5 because this movie has great action scenes with fascinating details, and the main character's performance was great. Though the movie was old, the technology in the movie was surprising because at that time it might seem unrealistic, but now it has become a common thing in our daily life. However, there are illogical plot holes. For example, the main character impersonates to be a rich man and go back to help his friend from dystopia without being found out. This doesn't make sense because he used to live in the dystopia, so it's impossible that his information is unknown. And if you look into the detail really carefully, you will see that some points in the movie is wrong when compared with scientific knowledge. That's all for today. Thanks for your attention.